Sup gamers, Rainy Potato here with a tier list for all the pets in Darkest Dungeon 2. The latest update patch for Darkest Dungeon 2 allows you to pick any pet at the first in, entirely changing the strategy around building for a pet, which makes an updated tier list much more relevant now. First up we have the Crimson Tick, one of 4 pets that does not synergize with any stagecoach gear. The Tick has a small chance of producing the blood, an OP item that gives a hero strength, crit, a speed token, and horror. On average, you'll end up with 2 to 4 blood over the course of a run, but of course you can high or low roll, making your pet obsolete. The other issue with this pet is strength is pretty situational, requiring specific direct damage comps with high top end, such as Hellion, Leper, or Jester, and these comps are usually just worse than dot builds, which benefit slightly from the crit token but usually want to carry other items. However, I still put this in the universally useful tier, because in most comps you'll have some form of direct damage, and this item can carry you through some of the toughest fights in the game, one tapping Act 1, one tapping Act 4 phases, and obliterating most bosses and mini-bosses in this game, which are the only fights that require real solutions to solve. Even in a mostly dot comp, it's never really a bad option and can be an acceptable pick if no synergies present themselves at the first in. Second up is the Croc, which gives each hero a 3% damage buff whenever they change positioning, whether being moved from their own or an ally skill, or being shuffled by the enemy. You also have a 20% chance of losing 1 speed, which can be resisted through debuff res. This is the most clear-cut situational tier item ever created, only actually viable in pure movement comps, best by far in multiple movement builds, like with Solo Jester and Nightsworn, and of course useless in meta dot comps. It's also fairly slow to scale and only becomes relevant in long boss fights, most prominently the Act 5 boss. And of course, the longer the fight goes on, the higher likelihood that you end up with debuffed speed, which can cripple a lot of builds. Even in dance teams, I don't take this unless no other decent synergy presents itself, and I'm only really happy with it in Act 5 as mentioned before. It just doesn't scale quickly enough otherwise. Next is the Larval Carrion Eater, an absolutely disgraceful waste of a pet, and very ugly to boot. This fraud gives you a heal and crit token whenever you kill a corpse, with an attack, not a corpse clear. The problem here is multi-pronged. The biggest issue is this does nothing in real fights, because no boss battle contains corpses at all except a few mini-bosses, which makes this solely a trash mob item, which are already or should be mostly solved. Second, to even use this needs to be a late stage fight with corpses already on the ground, and you need to waste actions to kill said corpse instead of actually contributing to your team. You can't even one-tap a lot of corpses without the General's Trophy, which can mean multiple turns spent doing nothing so you can get a small benefit at the tail end of some random road fight. Clear trash tier. The Mucilaginous Slime gives 5% debuff resist for each piece of road gear you equip, along with extra loot while running over supplies. Debuff resist is a strong benefit, but road gear is far and away the worst nonsense stagecoach gear in the game. It's almost always useless and a waste of baubles. You never want to actually buy it, which makes building around this a pretty suspect strat. The extra loot is nice, but it's very RNG, and unlike the Tick, even when you get the proc, you have no idea whether this will be useful at all. Certain team comps and runs really benefit from debuff resist to the point where it's okay to waste money in slots on this useless crap, and the free loot is enough to sneak this into the back of the situational tier. The Orphan Wolf Cub offers 10% positive relationship chance, effectively plus 20% for each individual relationship roll, along with 5% stress resist for each luxury gear. Stress resist is a great benefit, and luxury gear is largely good, and even that mediocre to useless luxury gear is usually available at the cheaper 25 bauble price. There's never a time you feel this buff is irrelevant, and it can near carry certain encounters. The positive relationship chance is a very strong universal good as well, routinely turning your neutrals to positives on normal difficulty, and helping eke out unlikely relationships on the new Stygian Flame. It's not quite in the OP tier, but certainly fits atop the universally useful tier. The Pygmy Pliskin gives plus 10% healing received for each medical gear equipped, and gives a random hero a 10% heal after each location. Medical gear is largely garbage, and often expensive, but the benefit can be pretty good, though well-constructed, aggressive teams don't really need to spend precious resources to get better healing. The random heals are also quite useless, given how little it is and how much random traveling heals you get. The only situation where this nonsense is actually equipable is with the Hateful Pyre difficulty. Even still, I can't put it anywhere but atop the trash heap, even with the one niche use case. The Reanimated Rabbit offers 1 speed per food gear equipped, and 1 HP for all heroes per 4 food in inventory. Speed and HP are arguably the 2 most important stats in this game, so getting 2 in 1 is an absolutely insane deal. Food gear is also something you always want, especially early. Whiskey is only 25 baubles and is a mandatory purchase early on. The griddle is also a near mandatory early purchase, giving you an extra team HP with every proc on Rabbit. In addition, the synergies available here absolutely dominate every other build. Icebox and barrels give you extra food, looting, and storage, and are both cheap items which end up completely breaking the game with this pet. Easily top tier, clear-cut best pet, and it's not really close either. The Shambler spawn acts as a stained item, meaning you can equip Cultist Trinkets without needing a Dark Impulse, allowing some absolutely obscene combos. It also gives you 200% scouting for Cultist nodes to maximize your loot potential. Unfortunately, this comes with a massive downside, bumping your scouting down 100% for both node and road, meaning you scout nothing without special scouting. The nice thing about scouting in this game is region goals in the lair are always scouted, along with the Cultist nodes of course, allowing you to have a general idea of the best route even blind, with a little preparation. The other big problem of course is Cultist drops are RNG, and about half the trinkets are trash. Still, with a focus strategy and some timely high rolls, you can easily break the game with some combos, and outside Act 1, Cultist nodes don't exist in Region 1, which gives you less chances to roll with this shorter act. This still fits cleanly atop the universally useful tier as a high risk, high reward pickup if no other synergies present themselves. The Shrieker Chick gives 2 extra baubles each time you loot baubles, and a 2% crit boost for each scouting gear you have. Scouting gear are among the most powerful items in the game, and for the most part will only cost you 25 baubles each, making it easy to max out your stagecoach for the 8% team crit. The bauble reward is pretty underrated as well. Never a bad time to pick this pet. I put it atop the universally useful tier because the benefits are always useful and the gear is actually relevant, not just something to toss on to get the buff. Unnatural Owlet gives 5% debuff piercing for each Tinker's gear equipped, along with extra chance to produce items from your stagecoach. Very good synergy with Tinker's gear. The problem here is that debuff piercing is quite niche, and Tinker's gear is usually expensive and has varying levels of usefulness. I definitely won't pick this for the ladder buff alone, even though spamming generated items is a whole strat by itself with this build. Even with a debuff minded team, which is rarely the centerpiece of any party, I'm hard pressed to ever select this. Fits in the situational tier, right above Slime. Overall, with all pets now available at the inn, we can finally see more synergies shine, making more pets pickable, which was a big problem with their original implementation. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. I post new videos every day.